Welcome back to Bring Back Gold. We are your team, and this is the show where we take that huge, overwhelming world of information, all your sources, your notes, your research, and we boil it all down.
Right down to the purest, most actionable strategy.
Exactly. We're here to transform that feeling of information overload into, well, immediate and practical knowledge for you.
And we have a really critical mission today.
Yeah.
We are, standing right on the threshold of 2026. And the pressure, the societal pressure, is always to just jump into the new year, to wake up on January 1st and decide you're going to completely transform your life.
Right, with this bolt of lightning inspiration that never lasts.
It never lasts. But our sources, thankfully, they offer something different.
Yeah.
A far more sustainable, and I'd even say sacred invocation.
Okay.
To pause, to reflect deeply on what has passed, and then to design the coming year with genuine, thoughtful intention.
And that's exactly why we're here. This deep dive is all about finding that specific architecture for sustainable change. We want to move past those cliche resolutions that, let's be honest, usually feel like a failure by the time February rolls around.
We're moving out of wishful thinking and into thoughtful, evidence-based structure.
Though we know structure works. I mean, the data you provided was fascinating on this.
It really is. It confirms a few things we sort of intuitively know. Like 48% of people who plan resolutions, they prioritize fitness and exercise.
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
A huge driver, yeah.
And 45% focus on saving money,
Yeah.
on financial wellness. And these are, admirable intentions. But the real insight, the gold we extracted, it isn't in what people want to do.
It's in the how.
It's in the how,
Yeah.
how they approach the process.
This statistic is, I think, the foundation for our entire deep dive today. And it's the gold nugget we found repeated across 3 different behavioral studies. Only 22% of people who rely just on raw willpower, grit and hope, only 20% maintain their resolutions a full year later.
That is a massive failure rate. It just reinforces that feeling that, change is impossible for me.
But then you flip that coin.
And this is the exciting part. 55% of people using structured, intentional, goal-setting frameworks, they are still actively maintaining their resolutions a year later.
55%. That's more than double the success rate.
It's huge. And it's simply because they shifted their method from a wish to a system.
That number, 55%, that is our target today. It's the proof that if you approach change thoughtfully, methodically, systematically, success is genuinely attainable.
Right. It stops being about whether you have the right personality, and it starts being about whether you have the right plan.
And we are providing that 55% roadmap today.
Exactly. We need to equip you with that structured framework that is proven to work.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission is to move you past impulse, to give you that actionable 55% framework. And we're going to start where all meaningful planning has to begin.
By looking back.
By looking back at 2025 to find the gold that it left behind for you.
So the first step in preparing for 2026 isn't about, listing all the things you need to do.
Right.
It's about identifying the gold you already possess. Reflection is so often framed as, dwelling on failure, running that mental tape of all your missed opportunities and regrets.
Yeah, the highlight reel of everything that went wrong.
Exactly. But the true purpose of this reflection phase, according to the psychological research we analyzed, is to identify the patterns, the hidden strengths, and the insights that emerged over the last 12 months.
That's a really crucial distinction, isn't it? We're conducting an inventory of knowledge, not a judgment of your character.
Precisely. The past year, globally and personally, it was undoubtedly transformative for so many. From the small daily triumphs to navigating massive geopolitical or economic shifts. And of course, facing personal victories and quiet defeats.
There were countless opportunities to learn.
Countless. But most people miss the gold because they're in such a rush to move on. They just want to get past the experience instead of taking the time to extract the knowledge that's embedded within it.
And the sources really emphasize that the most valuable lessons, they often come wrapped in the most challenging circumstances.
That's where the good stuff is.
We're talking about resilience here. We tend to think of adversity as purely negative, something you just have to endure and then forget. But it's actually the crucible where genuine self-knowledge and, in fact, measurable biological strength is forged.
That's a key psychological principle we have to lean into. Think back to the obstacles you faced this year. What did they force you to learn about adaptation or problem solving or just perseverance that you didn't know before?
Like, for instance, if you had a major project fail at work.
Yeah. The gold wasn't the failure itself. It was the realization that, oh, I need to delegate more effectively, or my time management was flawed in this specific way. Research into human resilience just consistently confirms that we are far more capable than we realize when we're forced to rise to an occasion.
And this is where it gets really fascinating on a biological level, and it ties back to that framework of structure we mentioned. Our sources note that your nervous system actually rewires itself through adversity. When you successfully navigate a difficult period, even if you stumbled and scraped your knees along the way, you are creating new neural pathways that register success in the face of stress.
Exactly. You are literally physically making yourself genuinely stronger for future challenges.
Wow.
If you overcame a job loss in, say, Q3, the goal wasn't just finding a new job. It was the realization that you could survive that period. You learned adaptive knowledge, right? How to manage fear, how to update your resume quickly, how to lean on your support network.
So acknowledging those moments of growth isn't just sentimental. It's not an exercise in forced optimism.
No, not at all.
It builds tangible confidence, and that confidence becomes this critical psychological resource you can draw on when 2026 inevitably throws its own difficulties at you.
That's it. You don't have to wonder if you can survive the next challenge. You have empirical evidence from 2025 that you already adapted and thrived.
Okay, so let's turn that reflective focus onto something really concrete: relationships and professional data points. Because this is where we find some of the most subtle but profound gold that dictates our future happiness.
I like the framework of the investment portfolio.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Think of your relationships over the last year. Did certain connections genuinely nourish you, challenge you constructively, and make you feel valued and energized?
Or did others, maybe unintentionally, just drain your energy, constantly demanding more than they gave, leaving you just exhausted after every single interaction?
These observations are absolutely critical data points for crafting an authentic and sustainable life. It's not about making harsh judgments or, dramatically cutting people off.
It's just about being intentional.
It's about consciously and intentionally adjusting where you invest your limited time and emotional energy. When you identify the people who truly support you, you protect your deepest time and trust for those who have earned it. That is a foundational lesson from 2025.
And that same rigorous audit, it applies to your professional life too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Maybe you work tirelessly chasing a promotion or a specific title, only to achieve it and realize, this doesn't actually bring me genuine satisfaction.
That realization that the external reward wasn't aligned with your internal commitment, that is priceless gold.
Or maybe that small side project you started, the one you treated like a hobby because it just brought you joy.
Yeah.
Maybe that generated more genuine fulfillment and perhaps even more income potential than your main career.
Yeah.
That is a loud, clear signal about where your natural talents and passions lie.
Or even more subtly, maybe you learned something critical about your optimal work conditions. That remote work suits your temperament perfectly because you need those long blocks of deep concentration.
Or the opposite, that you desperately need the structure and the incidental social connection of an office to feel motivated.
These are foundational realizations for designing a sustainable, satisfying life. You can't just dismiss these insights as trivial. They are core directives for 2026.
So to make sure these insights actually translate into actionable knowledge, we mandate what we call the specificity mandate.
Okay.
Our sources insist that you write down 3 specific lessons from 2025. You have to move beyond vague highlights.
This is crucial. Avoid those glossy, high-level platitudes you might put on a resume. Don't write, "I learned to be more disciplined."
It's nice, but it tells your operating system nothing about how to change.
So instead of, "I learned to save money."
Right. You write, "I learned that my discretionary spending always spikes on Friday afternoons when I'm tired, so future financial success relies on automating savings before Friday."
So it links the failure pattern to a specific timing trigger. That provides a clear roadmap.
Exactly. Or another great example focusing on relationships, not any better boundaries.
So what would be the specific version of that?
It would be. I learned that when I said yes to helping my neighbor with their garden for the 3rd time this month, I missed my daughter's soccer practice, and that led to immense guilt. I learned my boundary is saying no to non-essential requests that conflict with family obligations on Tuesdays.
That is so much more powerful. It prioritizes your core commitment over outside pressure.
To help you visualize this whole intelligence gathering process, we recommend a tool we call the Year in Review Timeline.
Okay.
Take a large sheet of paper, the bigger the better, and draw a horizontal line representing the 12 months of 2025.
And then above the line, you mark your wins, your achievements, peak moments of joy, genuine growth.
And below the line, you note the challenges, the setbacks, the losses, the difficult moments, and you have to be honest about both sides.
So what does that do? What insight comes from that?
The insight that emerges is crucial. This visual representation reveals patterns you just wouldn't notice if the experiences remained isolated memories. You might see, for instance, that your highest moments of productivity clustered exactly around the months when you faced the biggest external challenges.
Proving that stress, in your case, can be a motivator.
It can be. Or, conversely, you might realize that every dip in your motivation happened in November, right before the holidays.
Which tells you that Q4 requires preemptive self-care and structured time off.
Right. Maybe your happiest memories are consistently linked to specific people or places or activities, say time spent outside, or deep conversations with your best friend James. This confirms exactly where you should consciously invest time and energy in 2026.
So this intelligence, it dictates your path forward. It moves you from reacting to external pressure to dictating your own internal strategy.
Exactly.
Okay, so that sets the foundation. We've learned the lessons from 2025. Now let's talk about the intentional act of reorienting our focus. This transitions us to the universal language of gratitude.
Which, transcends culture, religion, and belief systems. It's not about performative thankfulness.
Right.
It's about fundamentally rewiring the brain. And this is where we dive into the measurable science of behavioral change.
The scientific evidence here is it's robust and compelling. I mean, research published across all these different disciplines, from organizational leadership to major psychological journals. It demonstrates that individuals who engage in conscious, structured gratitude practices experience significantly higher levels of life satisfaction.
And a measurable reduction in symptoms of anxiety and depression. Improved overall mental and even physical health.
Okay, so if I'm a pragmatic listener, my question is, what's the actual mechanism? Why does simply thinking thank you do anything tangible? It sounds a little like wishful thinking.
It's measurable brain chemistry. When you consciously focus on what you're grateful for, when you truly savor a moment, you activate the brain's reward pathways.
Okay.
Specifically, areas associated with social bonding and positive reinforcement. And this activation leads to a measurable increase in serotonin production.
And serotonin is that key neurotransmitter that stabilizes mood, right? It combats worry and promotes feelings of well-being.
Exactly. You are quite literally giving yourself a sustainable, internally generated chemical mood boost just by choosing to activate gratitude. That's an incredibly powerful tool.
And it's not just a quick hit of positivity. Our sources detail the profound long-term effect. Regular practice physically changes the brain structure.
We all evolved with a negativity bias. It's a hardwired ancient survival mechanism that's constantly scanning the environment for threats.
Right, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Gratitude practice systematically strengthens the positive neural pathways, the ones that notice beauty, connection, and good things, while simultaneously weakening that negativity bias.
So you literally transition from someone who only spots potential problems to someone whose default setting is to naturally spot moments of beauty and connection.
That's the goal. And the first critical step in engaging this powerful mechanism is what researchers call the gratitude audit.
This moves beyond just the generic daily list.
Way beyond. We challenge you to list 15 specific things from 2025 you're genuinely grateful for, regardless of how challenging the year was overall.
And once again, the mandate is specificity. Generic gratitude, like I'm grateful for my health, it registers a minimal, almost forgettable response in your nervous system. It's just too broad, too abstract.
That's the critical contrast, isn't it?
Yeah.
It separates that performative thankfulness from genuine rewiring. If you write, I'm grateful for my family, it barely touches the reward pathways. It's nice, but it's not activating.
So instead, you need that emotional texture.
Yes. When you write, I'm grateful for the way my mom listened to me without trying to fix my problems last Tuesday when I called her crying about work, and the specific relief I felt when she just validated my frustration. That detailed, emotionally textured gratitude creates deep, lasting neural activation.
It's an investment in a positive memory.
It is. Let's focus on sensory detail, too. The Force provides a great guide for this. Instead of, I'm grateful for my bed,
You could try, I am grateful for the specific smell of freshly laundered sheets, the cool side of the pillow on my neck, and the profound safety I feel when I sink into my mattress at the end of an exhausting day.
Yes. You've just created a vivid, positive sensory memory your brain can easily return to for comfort.
A particularly powerful and emotional practice studied extensively by positive psychology researchers is the gratitude letter.
This is where the emotional rubber really meets the road. You choose someone who made a meaningful, positive difference in 2025, even if it was a small intervention.
This could be a friend, a mentor, a colleague, anyone, really.
Anyone. And you write them a letter expressing exactly what they did. But most importantly, you articulate the impact it had on you. How did it change your perspective? How did it make you feel?
What changed in your life because of their intervention?
The act of writing it forces deeper cognitive processing. You are consciously articulating appreciation, and that cements the positive memory and strengthens those positive neural networks that recognize goodness in the world.
And then there's the ultimate step, the one that drives the deepest, most measurable change.
Reading that letter aloud to the recipient. Research shows this practice produces some of the most dramatic, months-long improvements in well-being of any intervention studied. It benefits both the giver and the receiver.
Prepare for tears.
Oh, yeah. The good kind of tears.
Beyond the letter, mindfulness teachers recommend a daily practice called savoring.
Each evening, you consciously recall one moment from that day that brought you joy, comfort, or connection. It could be as simple as the taste of a good meal or that quiet moment before the kids woke up.
And you close your eyes, visualize it fully, recreate the sensory details, the colors, the sounds, physical sensations, the emotional context.
This trains your nervous system to actively notice and lock onto the good moments, shifting your daily focus away from that problem-solving negativity bias.
And like any training, consistency is key. Which brings us to the 21-day challenge.
To establish this new positive operating system, repetition is vital. Research shows consistency produces the most measurable and lasting mental health benefits. 21 days is roughly how long it takes to establish a new neural pathway that starts to feel automatic rather than like forced effort.
But consistency is hard when life gets messy. This is where the source really stresses accountability.
Tell a friend you're doing the 21-day challenge and text them your daily gratitude list. Use an app with reminders. Put a sticky note on your mirror. The specific mechanism of accountability matters far less than the repetition itself. That's what establishes those new, resilient neural pathways.
Okay, so we've installed this positive framework in our brain. Now we need to clear out the residue of 2025 so the new wiring can operate cleanly.
Exactly. We have to consciously divest ourselves of what no longer serves us. You cannot drag 2025's grievances, lingering failures, and emotional disappointments into 2026 and expect anything truly new to take root.
It's like trying to move into a beautiful, fresh house while dragging all the moldy, heavy furniture from the old, cramped one.
There's just no space. No space for anything fresh, light, or expansive.
And letting go isn't about forcing toxic positivity or pretending the bad things didn't happen.
No, it's about honoring the difficult experiences, extracting the lesson they offered during that reflection phase we talked about, and then respecting yourself enough to release the emotional charge, the pain that it carries.
So we start with step one, identifying the weight.
You need to make an uncensored private list of what is mentally and emotionally holding you back. This includes resentments toward people, regrets about decisions you made, embarrassments, lingering fears.
Self-inflicted guilt, generalized emotional exhaustion. Be raw. Be brutally honest.
But that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a listener, I might think, I can't admit even to myself how angry I still am at that colleague or how ashamed I am about my spending habits. How do you get past that internal censorship?
You use the raw, uncensored language of your inner monologue. It can help to personify the emotion. I'm still angry that Sarah got the promotion I worked for, and I wish her ill. I'm ashamed that I yelled at my kids last month, and I can't stop replaying it.
The more specific and raw the language, the more effective the eventual release will be, because you are naming the demon you are trying to expel.
Once that weight is identified, we move to the visceral release, the ritual of destruction.
Write a raw, unedited letter to 2025. Express the gratitude, yes, but also the frustration, the deep grief, the disappointment, the dreams that didn't materialize. Write it all out without correction or censorship. This is an intentional physical purging of those emotional toxins.
And then you have to destroy it. Safely, of course.
Safely, yes. Using a method that appeals to your psychological makeup. Burn the paper in a fire pit, watching the words turn to smoke and ash. Bury it in the garden with the intention of returning its energy to the earth.
You could scatter the shredded pieces in water. Or, if you're purely digital, digitally delete the document and empty the trash bin.
The crucial insight here is the psychological power of the physical act, coupled with intention. As you watch the paper transform, you speak aloud. I release my anger at the unfairness of 2025. I let go of my regret about not trying harder.
So your nervous system registers this as a genuine, embodied transition. It creates a powerful sense of finality that just journaling alone often doesn't provide.
And this leads us naturally to the gift of forgiveness, a concept that's so often misunderstood and resisted.
Yeah. Forgiving someone who hurt you is not about condoning their actions or necessarily letting them back into your life.
It's purely a gift to the self.
It's the conscious decision to stop paying the emotional, physical, and mental price for someone else's behavior long after the incident is over. If you hold on to resentment, if you replay that slight, that betrayal, that hurt, they are still hurting you today.
Right, even if they're miles away. Forgiveness says unequivocally, what you did hurt me, but I am not giving you any more of my limited, precious time and emotional energy.
For a secular, highly effective practice, our sources suggest drawing from the Hawaiian tradition of Ho'oponopono.
This is a meditative practice where you repeat 4 phrases quietly while holding the person or the situation in mind. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you.
And we should clarify the power here. The power isn't necessarily in believing the phrases are literally true about them, especially if they caused real damage.
No, the power is in what these phrases do to your own internal stance. I'm sorry. Acknowledges that we are all flawed humans capable of error.
Please forgive me recognizes that you too have caused harm, which fosters humility.
Thank you expresses gratitude for the lesson this painful relationship offered, hard as that lesson was. And I love you is a simple recognition of shared humanity, that this person, like you, ultimately wants to be happy and free from suffering.
So that sequence shifts your internal stance from rigidity and blame to flexibility and understanding.
And equally crucial, if not more so, is self-forgiveness. Most people are far harsher, more judgmental, and less patient with themselves than they would ever be with a trusted friend.
You inevitably made mistakes in 2025. You fell short of expectations. This is not a catastrophic personal failure.
No, it's the normal, messy human condition.
Stop the self-flagellation and the constant critical commentary. The sources highly recommend writing an apology letter to yourself from the perspective of your wiser future self.
Something like, I'm sorry I was so hard on you this year when you were doing your absolute best under incredibly difficult circumstances. I forgive you for the mistakes you made. I see that you were trying, and I honor the effort.
This links directly back to the work of resilience researcher Kristen Neff.
Her work is so important. Self-compassion is the foundation of genuine resilience. It creates the psychological safety needed to assess honestly what went wrong and try again with new knowledge.
Self-criticism, on the other hand, it just creates intense shame, which quickly leads to paralysis, avoidance, and total abandonment of goals.
You have to treat yourself like a friend, not a drill sergeant.
Okay, now for the constructive phase, the forward motion. We've learned the lessons, we've released the emotional weight, and now we only pack what genuinely serves us for the journey into 2026. This is about making conscious, intentional choices rather than just defaulting to old habits.
And for this, we're introducing the 3 C's framework for intentional life design.
The first C is connections.
This focuses ruthlessly on the quality of your key relationships, the friends, family, mentors, and colleagues who see you clearly, support your best intentions, and genuinely nourish you.
The core idea here, which has been proven by decades of sociological research, is just profound. The quality of your relationships is the single strongest predictor of long-term life satisfaction, happiness, and even physical longevity.
It consistently ranks above money, status, or career achievement. So quality matters intensely more than quantity.
Your actionable step here is to identify just 3 to 5 core relationships to prioritize and protect in 2026.
And don't leave it as a vague promise or a hope. Write a specific, non-negotiable investment plan for each one.
Specificity again. It converts intention into behavior. So instead of the vague, I should call my sister more.
You write, have a proper, focused 1-hour conversation with Marcus once a month, scheduled in advance where phones are put away.
Or take Mom out for coffee every few weeks without checking my work email. This commitment is a calendar entry, a protected block of time, not a vague hope you'll get around to.
I think some listeners might push back on that, though. If we commit to only 3 to 5 core relationships, how do we handle the inevitable guilt of dialing back others? Extended family or high-maintenance acquaintances. What's the source's advice there?
That's a powerful challenge. The source suggests reframing it. You are not rejecting people. You are protecting the integrity of your core connections. You're prioritizing based on mutual investment. For those draining relationships, you create structured, limited time slots, maybe a quick email, a group message, or declining specific requests with a kind but firm, "I can't right now." You are managing your energy, not being unkind.
The second C is competencies.
Identify the tangible and intangible skills you developed or sharpened in 2025. These are valuable assets you are keeping and leveraging.
And this includes everything: professional abilities, physical skills, emotional intelligence, practical knowledge.
Right, don't just list professional training. Be exhaustive, you might realize. I mastered Excel pivot tables, or I can now run 5K without stopping.
Or, I've developed the crucial ability to speak up confidently in meetings without anxiety. Or even, I finally learned that recognizing my deep need for complete alone time is not a flaw, but a critical piece of self-care.
So the actionable step is to choose 2 or 3 of these competencies to actively develop further in 2026. This highly focused approach prevents that diffusion of effort.
Exactly. If financial wellness is your goal, you might deepen the budgeting skills you developed into investment knowledge. If health is a priority, you build on that existing running habit by training for a specific race.
And the third C is commitments.
These are the deep internal values and priorities that actually matter to you, not what society, your parents, or social media tells you should matter.
This could be consistent creative expression, financial security, raising kind children, or simply protecting your inner peace above all else.
These core commitments form the immovable framework for all your 2026 decisions. If a major goal or opportunity doesn't genuinely align with these commitments, if it conflicts with the need to protect your peace, for example, you should be prepared to let it go.
No matter how attractive it looks externally.
Right. And the visioning exercise ties this whole audit together.
Yeah.
We ask you to mentally project yourself to December 2026 and write the reflection in the present tense, based purely on your internal compass.
And this isn't the highlight reel for Instagram, it's the felt sense of integrity.
So you write, I showed up consistently for the people who matter most to me, and my relationships feel deep and resilient. Or, I prioritized my mental health and rest, even when life got impossibly busy.
I pursued my creative interests joyfully, not for income, but for expression. You are creating a detailed sensory sense of your desired future that your entire nervous system can orient toward and believe in.
Let's make this final audit really tangible using the suitcase metaphor.
Okay.
You're packing for the journey into 2026, and you only have room for what genuinely serves your defined commitments. You have to be ruthless about space.
So what goes in?
What goes in? My consistent morning meditation practice, my deepened friendship with James, my improved ability to cook healthy, simple meals, my financial tracking habit that automatically allocates savings. You are choosing these assets consciously.
And equally important, what is deliberately and consciously left behind in 2025?
The habit of checking work emails the second I wake up and right before bed. The tendency to say yes when I'm already overwhelmed.
The emotional baggage of perfectionism that stops me from starting projects. The tendency to compare my progress to random people on social media.
You mentally, physically, and intentionally leave that draining baggage in 2025 where it belongs.
Okay, now we transition from auditing and intention setting to the structure itself. Why do most resolutions fail? Because they are vague, unmeasured, non-specific wishes, not goals.
Get healthier. Save more money.
Okay.
These are admirable aspirations, but they are unenforceable by your brain. You need structure.
And we're taking the standard SMART framework-specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, and we're enhancing it with 2 critical additions, E and R.
But before we dive into the letters, let's nail down that critical behavioral insight from the sources.
Okay.
Approach-oriented goals succeed 11.8% more often than avoidance goals. This is a fundamental psychological adjustment.
So frame the goal as what you want to introduce or increase rather than what you want to stop.
Exactly. Instead of the avoidance goal, stop eating junk food, use the approach goal. I will actively eat vegetables with dinner 5 nights a week. Your brain responds far better to moving towards something positive, which rewards you with progress, than avoiding something negative, which often just highlights deprivation.
Okay, so starting with S specific, this is about removing ambiguity and eliminating decision fatigue. If your brain knows exactly what success looks like, the who, what, when, and where, there is no wiggle room for negotiation when you're tired.
The detail here cannot be overstated. Let's take a fitness goal. Don't say, exercise 3 times a week.
Instead say, I will walk for 30 minutes on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings before breakfast, starting from my front door, regardless of the weather.
Yes. Defining the exact context, the time, the location, it eliminates the negotiation and makes the choice automatic.
Let's apply that to finance, not save more money. Too vague.
A specific goal is, I will automatically transfer 250 pounds into my dedicated savings account every Friday morning at 9 a.m., linked to the purpose of Q4 travel.
Next is measurable. You have to define success using numbers or a demonstrable change so that tracking progress is objective. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
So for our savings goal, the measurement is the running total. Save 3,000 pounds in 2026. For a relationship goal, it might be the frequency. Have a screen-free dinner with family 4 evenings per week, tracked on a calendar.
And measurability is psychologically crucial because visible progress creates motivation. Your brain rewards itself with feel-good neurotransmitters every time you check that box or see the savings total rise.
Then we have A, achievable. This is the safeguard against self-sabotage. Your goal must be challenging enough to feel worthwhile, yet realistic enough given your current resources, time constraints, and circumstances.
This is where we stop fighting our natural rhythms. If you are starting from 0 exercise, aiming for 6 days a week is a direct route to burnout and failure.
Start with 3 days. You can always increase it later. A goal that's too far-fetched just demoralizes you before you even begin.
And work with your personal biology. If you hate mornings, schedule your workout for lunchtime or right after work. If you fight your natural rhythm, you will lose that internal battle.
Relevant. Does this goal align deeply with your core values and the commitments you identified in Section 4?
If you are pursuing a goal purely because you feel you should, because it's what society expects or what your peers are doing, it is fundamentally destined for failure because the motivation is external, not internal.
This is the time to ask why, repeatedly, until you hit the emotional truth. I want to learn Spanish. Why? Because it looks good on my resume. Why does that matter? Because I want a better job. Why? Because I need to save more money. Why?
So I can reduce financial stress on my partner and travel with my children. That last one, the reduction of stress and shared experiences, that's your genuine motivation.
And if the goal doesn't resonate genuinely at that emotional level, give yourself permission to let it go gracefully.
Time-bound. Deadlines create useful, productive pressure. Break your huge annual goals into specific quarterly milestones, monthly sub-goals, and weekly actions. This transforms a daunting year-long task into a series of small, manageable projects.
So using a skill goal as an example, the annual goal is career transition. The time-bound milestones are, by 31 March 2026, I will have completed my prerequisite online course for graphic design. By 30 June, I will have passed the certification exam. By 31 December, I will have successfully transitioned into a design role.
That creates a clear, sequential path that feels manageable, not overwhelming.
Now, for the 2 crucial additions that research shows dramatically improve success rates, evaluated regularly.
Don't wait until December 2026 to see if you succeeded.
No. You must build in monthly check-ins, just 5 to 10 minutes, and quarterly deep dives, maybe 30 to 60 minutes.
I can hear the listener groaning. Another thing to schedule. Why is this so necessary? Can't I just trust the process?
Because without scheduled review, the inevitable setbacks feel like failure and momentum dies. You have to schedule these non-negotiable review sessions now. Put them as recurring appointments in your calendar.
And during these check-ins, you ask crucial, non-judgmental questions. How many times did I complete the target behavior? What made it easier? What made it harder? What needs adjustment?
Crucially, this is data collection. It is not judgment or self-criticism.
And finally, are readjusted as needed.
View your goals as living documents, not engraved mandates. Life happens. If you lose your job, you adjust the financial timeline. If you discover you hate running, you pivot to cycling.
So the underlying commitment to fitness remains, just the specific manifestation adjusts based on new information and circumstances.
Exactly. This isn't permission to quit the commitment. This is wisdom. Rigid adherence to a goal that no longer serves your core commitments isn't virtue, it's self-sabotage. If you adjust the timeline because you had a family emergency, that's smart management. This fluid framework protects you from the shame of perceived failure.
Okay, this section is the final synthesis. We are walking you through the intentional 2 to 3 hour investment that separates the 55% success rate from the rest.
Set aside the time this week. Grab your journal, turn off your phone. This is not a time to rush. This is an investment in the next 365 days of your life.
Step 1. Visioning. Close your eyes and genuinely imagine the end of 2026. Write the vision in present tense, detailed, and sensory. You need to create a felt sense of your desired future.
This is an internal qualitative metric. It's more than a list of external achievements. You are writing who you are becoming.
Like, I am someone who prioritizes my health without obsessing over the scale. I feel energized and capable most days. I've deepened my friendship with Marcus by being a reliable listener. I've let go of the need to constantly prove myself professionally.
This emotional blueprint prepares your nervous system for the journey by giving it a target to orient toward.
Step 2. Life audit. Go through the major categories that define a full life: health, relationships, career finance, personal growth, and environment.
And for each area, you ask the 4 crucial questions. What's working well? What's not working? What's missing? And what would feel genuinely better?
And you use your honest, raw assessment as objective data. For instance, if your relationship section yields, not working, I've let most of my friendships drift, missing, deep, stimulating conversations, that raw data tells you exactly where you need to focus.
If multiple areas, health, finance, career, all point to poor time management or constant overwhelm, then that's your overarching theme for 2026.
Step 3. Identifying your big 3. Instead of trying to juggle 10 or 12 resolutions, which just guarantees diffusion of effort, choose 3 primary, impactful focus areas.
Look for the gap between where you are and where you want to be, that if you closed it, would create the biggest positive impact across multiple life areas.
For example, if you focus intensely on consistent exercise habits, that often spills over and improves mental health, energy levels, and sleep. It impacts 3 categories with 1 major focus.
So maybe your big 3 are: establish consistent exercise habits, build substantial financial security through targeted savings, and deepen key relationships by protecting social time. These are levers that move the entire system.
Step 4. Creating your SMART art goals. Now, you have to execute the detailed breakdown for each of the big 3. This is the difference between the vague wish and the actionable plan. Let's take that financial goal. Save £3,000 in 2026.
Specificity. Automatically transfer 250 pounds every first of the month. Measurable. Track progress in a spreadsheet updated monthly. Achievable. Break it into 62 pounds 50 per week. Possible, but it requires effort.
Relevant. Aligns with the commitment to financial security. Time-bound. Quarterly milestones reviewed on the 1st of April, July, and October.
And crucially, you have to meticulously define potential obstacles and action steps to remove friction. For our walking goal, the obstacle is often cold mornings.
So the action step must include: lay out walking clothes the night before, next to the door, have a backup indoor workout video ready for heavy rain days. You remove friction proactively so your brain defaults to the successful behavior.
Let's use a relationship goal. Specificity. Call my sister every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for 30 minutes. Measurable. Track the calls on a shared digital calendar. Achievable. It's only 30 minutes, which is manageable.
Relevant. Aligns with the commitment to family. Time-bound. Review connection quality quarterly. The action step. Schedule the reminder now and put your phone on Do Not Disturb for that 30 minutes.
And step 5, accountability and support. Remember, the 55% success rate is driven by structure and external support. Write down the specific mechanism for external accountability. Don't just hope you'll find it.
Who will check in with you and how? I'll text Marcus every Saturday after my walk to confirm I completed it, or I'll share my monthly budget review spreadsheet with my partner.
External support isn't a sign of weakness. It's a powerful psychological tool that leverages our need for social compliance, helping us perform better when we know someone else is paying attention.
Okay, so now the launch. The first week of 2026, January 1st through 7th, is the critical launch pad that sets the tone for the entire year.
And we advise easing in intentionally, rather than starting with a radical, unsustainable burst of intensity that just burns you out by day 3.
So January 1st, set your intention. This is a mental exercise, not a day of action.
Right. Read your meticulously crafted SMART E-goals, visualize success, and perform a small ritual: lighting a candle, creating a vision board, speaking your goals aloud. You are marking the moment as significant, formally announcing to your subconscious that these goals matter and that the journey has begun.
January 2nd, 3rd, preparation. This is the friction removal phase.
If your goal is financial, set up those automatic savings transfers immediately. If it's a new skill, order the books, download the necessary software, or gather your course resources. Prepare your environment for success so that when the time comes to act, the choice is easy and resistance is low.
January 4th, 5th, first action. Take the smallest possible first step.
If your goal is a 30-minute walks, start with 15 or 20 minutes. Transfer 50 pounds into savings, even if the monthly goal is 250 pounds. Small wins create immediate momentum and immediately reward your brain with those feel-good neurotransmitters.
You're training the muscle of starting.
That's it. January 6th, review and refine. You are 3 days into action, what felt harder than expected.
Adjust the plan based on reality, not self-criticism. If 6 a.m. is genuinely too early, shift the commitment to 7 a.m. or lunchtime. If 5 cooked dinners is too much, calibrate to 3. You are adjusting the plan to fit reality, not giving up on the commitment.
And January 7th, celebrate. Acknowledge the first full week of action. Treat yourself to something small that aligns with your values, a favorite meal, an extra hour of guilt-free rest, a new book.
You have to celebrate progress, not just distant achievement, because that reinforcement is what anchors the positive behavior and makes it repeatable.
Now let's talk about sustaining momentum. We established that willpower depletes. Goal achievement is a year-long practice, not a January event. This is why the regular rhythm of review, the E at R in SMART ER, is essential to defeat willpower fatigue.
The monthly review, 30 minutes, recurring appointment, non-negotiable. This is your data collection phase.
You look back and ask, how many times did I complete the target behavior? What patterns emerged? Maybe you notice you consistently fall apart the final week of the month because you're stressed by deadlines. That is invaluable, objective data you can use to adjust future Q4 planning.
Then the quarterly review, a substantial deep dive after 90 days. Block out 60 to 90 minutes.
Here, you check on those specific milestones you set in Section 5. You identify if the goal still excites you and aligns with your current commitments, and you decide consciously whether to let go or radically change the strategy.
This rhythm creates progress visibility, which sustains motivation far more effectively and reliably than raw willpower alone. When you can see the data, you can see the progress, even if it's slow. And that visible progress creates momentum.
And finally, we must embrace the messy middle. Success means expecting and proactively planning for setbacks. Progress looks like an upward trend with frequent, inevitable ups and downs, not a straight, perfect line.
You will miss workouts, you will overspend, you will procrastinate. This is not a moral failure, it is normal human life. The key to the 55% success rate is the setback protocol.
You write down the plan now for when things go wrong.
For instance, when I miss my workout on Tuesday, I do not punish myself by trying to make it up on Wednesday. I just return to my normal schedule on Thursday.
This plan removes the shame and confusion that typically leads to total abandonment. When you treat setbacks as objective information rather than personal indictments, you can learn from them and immediately reset.
And we should remember the important insight from the sources on maintaining momentum. Simply maintaining a negative trend is still success because you changed direction.
Absolutely. If you are consistently gaining weight, maintaining your current weight for 6 months is a huge win. If you are accumulating more debt, stopping the accumulation is success.
Trust the trajectory over the full year, not the inevitable daily fluctuation.
So as you move into 2026, the most important foundation to set, above all the planning and metrics, is self-compassion. The work of Kristen Neff is so clear on this. Harsh criticism creates shame and paralysis.
Compassion creates the resilience and sustainable motivation needed to try again and again.
Treat yourself like the trusted friend you would advise.
That is the bottom line of this entire deep dive. This process isn't mechanical tracking or a list of impossible demands. It's honoring the past, consciously choosing what serves you in the present, and committing to sustainable, imperfect growth rather than dramatic, unsustainable transformation.
You survived 2025. You are prepared. You learned from every challenge, every pivot, and every quiet victory. All of that experience is now a resource you carry with you.
The final provocative thought we want to leave you with is this, and it dictates everything. The inner voice you choose to use when pursuing your goals in 2026 will determine your success more than any single action plan, budget, or calendar entry. Are you speaking to yourself like a drill sergeant, criticizing and demanding perfection that only leads to burnout? Or are you speaking like a trusted coach, encouraging, assessing reality impartially, and prioritizing recovery and adjustment? That distinction is everything.
Choose the coach. Commit to the process.
Now go start your intentional preparation for 2026. We'll be back soon with the next Bring Back Gold.